David Schottenstein talks about his array of rare whiskeys like a teenager might talk about his sports card collection. The 30-year-old multimillionaire, his net worth has been estimated at around $50 million, owns bottles worth $20,000 or more. "I once bought a bottle that was used at Princess Diana's wedding," he said, adding that he only paid $350 for it at an auction. His most prized vintage, a Macallan 60 that was distilled in 1949 in Scotland and bought in 2009. "I'll never drink it," he said of the Scotch that Christie's auction house values at between $16,000 and $25,000. "If I get bored of it, I'll sell it." It's just one of the many pricey things that Schottenstein collects, though he says he pays less than the sticker price and considers his purchases as investments that will grow in value. He likes buying jewelry too and owns some pieces that are now valued at $200,000. There aren't many people like Schottenstein, 20 and 30-somethings who have more money than they could have ever imagined, but you've probably heard of a few of them. According to WealthX, a company that tracks the ultra-wealthy, 1.6% of ultra-high net worth individuals, defined as having more than $30 million in assets, are under 30, while 5.5% are between the ages of 30 and 39. Among them are Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, Napster founder Sean Parker, and Tal Education Group founder Zhang Bangxing. Many young ultra-high net worth individuals are, like Schottenstein, entrepreneurs. Schottenstein sold his first business, Custom Tailor Astor & Black, in 2011 to a private equity firm for about $42 million, and now runs Viewable, a technology company that helps businesses track their legal bills. For the young and extremely affluent, life is a complicated mix of spending and saving that includes buying big-ticket items like cars, houses, alcohol, and handbags, traveling around the world, and reinvesting in their businesses to make even more money, said Mark McMullen, the Geneva-based head of family office for Stonehenge, a wealth management firm that deals with ultra-wealthy individuals around the world. The under 35 group of wealthy typically tries to use the money they have to make even more. "These are highly entrepreneurial, highly ambitious people," McMullen said. "Because they've made money quickly, they think it's easy to do, and they often try and recreate what they've already done." So let's meet the new young and rich and stave off your jealousy, and you may be surprised by just how practical some of them are. When Sunita Lanto, an Indonesia-raised entrepreneur who now lives in Silicon Valley, sold her first business, China-focused gaming company 111.com, at the tender age of 26, she immediately rushed out to buy a $24,000 pink Hermes handbag. "Having so much money was liberating," she said. One misconception that people have about wealthy young people is that they live like Lindsay Lohan, occasionally troubled and always after the finest things, said Tim Pritchard, an advisor to the ultra-wealthy at Richardson GMP, a Toronto-based wealth management firm. Pritchard, who counts young business owners and wealthy professional sports stars as clients, said some do get mixed up with illicit drugs and excessive drinking, but the vast majority are workaholics and their desire to build companies usually doesn't change. For instance, Lanto, now 38, didn't suddenly become a hard-living Hollywood-type replete with all-night drinking and all-day shopping sprees. She bought a loft with her husband that cost 7 figures, flies in first class more often, occasionally takes private jets, and indulges in her handbag habit. But she said otherwise, her lifestyle didn't change dramatically. "I didn't party all the time," said the tech executive, although some of her wealthy friends did. That's not to say that some people don't live it up. David Danishgar, now 32, was one of the top 5 poker players in the world and would regularly jet off to Barcelona, Monaco, or other luxury destinations at a moment's notice. He stayed in the top hotels. One suite his friends rented in Barcelona cost about $4,000 a night and would often wine and dine other wealthy individuals. When he made his first million at 24, he bought a Porsche 911 Carrera 4S for $110,000 in cash. He always flew first class or on a private jet. But living in the fast lane is only fun for so long. Things began to change for him when he turned 30. He saw other wealthy poker players around his age lose touch with reality and blow all their money. He didn't want to go broke. "I realized that money has no value," he said. "I matured and wanted to do something for other people." In 2011, he used his winnings to start BloomNation.com, an online marketplace for florists who want to sell custom floral arrangements. He's already received about $2 million in venture capital funding. Of course, he hopes to get even richer off the business when he sells it one day. While he's still wealthy, he's not nearly as lavish a spender as he once was. He'll take the occasional jet trip, but nowadays he mostly flies economy. "My life has changed," he said. "I'm more focused on my business." Young multimillionaires, especially entrepreneurs, concern themselves more with creating companies than hiring a personal shopper. "Most aren't ostentatious about their wealth," explained Pritchard, the financial advisor. "For a lot of these young business owners, it's not necessarily apparent that they're extremely wealthy," says Pritchard. They have a nice car, but a lot of their wealth is tied up in their business and their time is taken up by running it. How people approach wealth often depends on how much they have. For the high net worth person who has assets of between 5 and 10 million, life doesn't change that much, said Gautam Batra, an investment strategist at London-based Cigna Wealth, an investment firm that's geared to wealthy individuals. After buying a 7-figure house, you're not left with as much as you think, he said. Above the 10 million mark, managing money becomes a much more involved process. That's something different, he said. It gets even more intense when you exceed 100 million, when planning becomes more about channeling those funds into something productive. Most young, ultra-rich people have no idea what to do with their money, and they need advice, said McMullen. Much of that advice is around investing in real estate, buying other businesses, buying into the stock market, setting prenuptial agreements before marriage, and how to avoid spoiling their children. Schottenstein has always been a responsible saver, he said, and while he loves his whiskey collection, he spends most of his money on philanthropic causes. He gives away about 35% of his income a year to a number of different causes. His first major purchase was a building in Montreal that he turned into a Jewish community center for the city's Russian Jews, a community his wife is a part of. He also built a soup kitchen in Israel that now feeds 250 people a day. While Schottenstein said he has friends who spend too much, one young business-owning friend used to pay $25,000 in rent a month for a New York apartment. He's nearly broke now. Most of the young and wealthy people he knows aren't living like kings. It might be fun to go out here and there, but you have to realize that burning money isn't going to make you happy, he said. You get to a point where you don't just think about today. You have to think about the long term too. Few people don't crave a luxurious lifestyle, but what exactly does that mean? What constitutes living in the lap of luxury to one person may be totally different for another. And so perhaps a brief look at what today's consumer considers luxury to mean might be helpful. Whether you're a real estate investor seeking to buy and lease out a group of high-end apartments or a young professional seeking the good things in life, there are some common characteristics that define a luxurious lifestyle. It seems, though, as time passes, that old real estate mantra, location, 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 is becoming less and less important to millennials seeking the good life. While most young professionals want a nice neighborhood to raise their families in, they're no longer looking for ostentatious displays of wealth as in days gone by. They have come to learn that all that glitters isn't gold, and so they're willing to pay top dollar to live in areas that are emerging in the luxury market. But that's it for today, folks. Subscribe to the channel for more videos, and we'll see you next time.